Welcome. I am the teacher. I'm going to be speaking on part 2 of the number 7. I mentioned stuff in in the first section, and I know it's becoming a habit that I'm going through making a part 1 and part 2. But I mentioned some things in the first one. I figured I just need to give you a little bit more clarity. So as you've seen in part 1, I still have the 1008 there. I got the pattern up here that starts with the number 7, and why I arrowed that down to the 45 so you can see why I put it there. And then the pattern of 2, how us and 7 are created. That's, you got the same pattern. And you do 7, you add the 7, and if you multiply the 7, you get the same pattern as of 2. So 4 and 7 are the 2 patterns, and you know 2 plus 7 equals 9. So that's one of the reasons. Of course, also I'm going to talk about the frequencies. So 432 is the frequency of healing, and it's about the universal patterns and so forth. So it aligns more mathematically with the universe and so forth. And then you got the God frequency is 963. Then I got here 360 times 4 equals that. And then I got that and plus that frequency, and then breaking down there. And I mentioned that in the first one, how you times that by 3, you get that. So I want to show the significance of the number 7, why it is the universal number, and we speak more within the alignment of the universe. So we are universal beings. We are not human beings. Calling yourself a human being is a very primitive way of thinking. We are universal. We belong to the universe because we live within the universe. Our life is designed to live within the universe, not just planet Earth, within that Earth atmosphere and so forth. Our body, yes, but I'm talking about the life. See, life continues, period. The more you stop trying to define yourself, the more of life you can embrace. Okay? Matter has dimensions where it has certain measurements. Like your brain is at a certain size, your heart's at a certain size, and so matter. Life itself, the reason why you can't write about life or point or even measure life, because it's never still enough for you to do that. And true life is never static. It is a continuous motion. That's why when people say the number 1 represents knowledge, I am not knocking that. I'm not going to ever debate, the brothers and sisters that are in the know. I don't debate. I'm only speaking about life, period. So life is not static. And the one, okay, to pronounce 1, that's why I say it is pronounced. Because as soon as you come up with an answer, there's always more. So whatever you come up with, whatever you write, whatever you study, then you're always nearly correct. But you can't never nail it down and just stop there. Now, they are singular or a root phrase. That's why I say the 1 is to pronounce 1, because knowledge is a sense of what has been defined. Once again, how do you define the 1? When there is nothing like it, and he is the only one. He's the only one who can properly define himself. So I'd rather use the term he is the pronounced one instead of just saying one means knowledge. Because no matter what level of understanding that you are coming into, the one is going to be pronounced. Period. So the universal number is a 7. 7 is when you start coming and start seeing how the frequencies, the harmony, and what we all after all works together. Once again, 7 is the first number of one of the 3 patterns of life. You know, it is 1, 4, and 7. It's the beginning of the patterns. 2 and 7 have the exact same pattern, which is 4, 8, 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 5, 9. Period. That's it. That's the pattern of 7. That's the pattern of 2. But if you look at 7's, the beginning of the 7 stretch, it starts off with you with a universal understanding. But the 2, which is us, is next to the 9. On that last pattern, which is 7, 1 is first, 4 is second, and then when you see the 7, the universe beginning the pattern, the 2, which is us, is next to the 9. Once again, 9 is the completed state. Once again, 7 is very significant. If you look at part 1, I got all the other ones out there as well, how 7 flows. But I'm going to speak more on this one about the significance of the frequency. Okay? That is, because true communication is vibration, frequency, etc. Everything in creation is vibrating, has a frequency. Period. Everything, if you see a rock on the ground, it has minerals in it, it's vibrating. It is life. It has a frequency. Any shape you see comes from frequency or health. The way we can heal is frequency, the harmony that we wrap ourselves in the harmony of the one is healing. The things that we eat, the food that we take in, and we call ourselves trying to eat healthy, digestion, we're taking it into these, we are taking in life, which is going to create a chemical balance, which when you start thinking and you start speaking and you start vibrating, it's a certain harmony and there's certain chemicals that you're going to be sending out. It's frequency. So I'm going to show you how 7 has a particular harmony that brings us together. So when you look at the God frequency, what I have up there on the top line, which is 963, if you put the pattern, any of the patterns, all the patterns of the numbers equal 45, right? Each pattern equals 45. What I mean is when you add up all the numbers, they equal to 45. And that takes you to 1080. Okay? I'll talk about that one day. When you look at the 336 and you times it by 3, you times it by one of the keys. In other words,
80, when you times, once again, like I said in part one, you get to 84. You times the 84 times 4, you get 360. And you times, 336. If you times that by 3, you get to 1080. The 144, those who have the Son of Man written on their forehead. People call them the chosen. Look at that. That's 1080. 7 is a very, very significant number. 144 times 7 is 1080. None of these numbers that I'm putting up here is a coincidence. Okay? If you take 1080 plus 432, it equals 1440. 360 times 4 is 1440. So the healing, the universal harmony, the universal sound is now, once again, I said that the universe itself is 12 base. And that's why I'm using, I times the 360 times 4 to explain 7, okay? Because if you take the key, okay, if you take the first key, out of the 3, 6, and 9, 3 times 4 equals 12. So when you're looking at universally speaking, you're looking at what is it about the 360 degrees 4 times making our universe. I don't know if I will ever get to the point of having that conversation or making that, because I'm basically going to be speaking on the 10 base, the 3, the 6, and the 9. But for your own individual study, there's nothing wrong with you if you want to tap into the 12 base, because if you understand problem 13, which some of you may not know what I'm talking about, but if you know your messenger and if you are into the lessons, you will know exactly what I mean by problem 13. If you understand problem 13, and if you want to start getting to the 12 base, the universal concept, because we know who the true and living God is, and when you want to start looking at the universe on its 12 base system and see how the 10 base flows, you can do this on your own. I'm saying that I may not get to the point where I'm going to be making videos about that type of understanding, because once again, you always have to respect the audience to who you are teaching to. Everybody's not going to have that understanding, but once again, the numbers that has been presented to you, that has been given to you, you can go into that understanding as well. You are unlimited when you're dealing with mathematics. But for me, to say that I'm going to make a video about that here one day or whatever, I'm not going to make that promise. Like I say, on the last one, when I was talking about just the number 7 and like that 12 times 7 equals 84 times 4 equals 336, and you're adding the 24 elders, that is a teaching within a teaching and a teaching. We can all talk about that during our so-called lifetime. If you want to live 1,000 years, you want to live 2,000 years, it doesn't matter. That is one of the most, for me, it was one of the most eye-opening experience that I've ever had. And I can talk about that one forever. So, just saying, these lessons can give you a good understanding of how you can use your mathematical theology to come into supreme understanding, because, like I have mentioned, we are living in the days of the Son of Man. And either you do or you don't. Either you take it or you just leave it alone. There is the new result is upon us. And by making all things new, meaning you have to know the past result. And you have to be aware of the present result to know exactly what I'm saying. And I'm giving you this understanding mathematically. It's just as simple as that. Time, which a lot of people say, when it's so and such times, things can happen through time. Time comes from what you need to slow down to study. Because even when we are studying these numbers, they're not sitting there waiting on you. Everything is in motion. That's why we use multiplication, but it's just adding at an advanced state. But time is not stationary. Thought goes at 24 billion miles per second. Makes light as though it's standing still. You understand? So when you're coming into the understanding of the original thought, and when that original thought is noun, it's going to be new. You are hearing things that you never had is going to be hearing, because the Son of Man is going to make all things new. Period. We all have to be preparing ourselves for that type of understanding. Submission is one thing. And matter of fact, submission is always the key to receive it. Period. But this is a motion. This is the true motion that is really coming into fruition. So let's looking at the 432 frequency. What is that? Look at it. Look at 432 for what it is. Look at it. If surely you put the numbers together, it's going to equal 9, right? You can see that. But even if you just times it, take the 4 times the first two numbers. Okay? 4 times 3 is 12. Right? 12 times 2 is 24. Right? Now, do you really want to deal with 24? I mean, do I really need to break that down to you? So all that information, all that stuff is in the previous videos that I have made. But the number 7 is so universal. It just aligns so much of the numbers together. It's just beautiful within itself. It is the harmony that gets us going. So when you are manifesting 7, you are in harmony. Well, not only the one, but you are in harmony with the universe. Everything you are looking at, your thoughts are becoming the universal perspective. You having a clearer vision of what is taking place. You've already been tried by Satan for 40 days and 40 nights. You are flowing. There is more than what you can ever take in, because the one never ends. You can put a mirror in front of you and have a mirror behind you, and you can see your reflection forever, because there is so much of you, more than what you can ever imagine. Now you see so many of you, just like there's nothing individual about you. Now you're thinking on universal terms. Now you have seen your reflection. Now you know there is nothing external. Now you know there is no space. Now you know there is only the one. And he is the master architect of what we are experiencing. All you have to do is just go into your meditative state and observe, because the one will show you all that there is to see. You are flowing in that harmony. You got that 432 harmony. You understand healing. You know how to start healing yourself, because you realize that you are with that one. You have a different perspective when it comes to but the medical field and all this. I'm not telling anybody they shouldn't go to the doctor or anything. I am not saying that. What I am saying is that when you start coming into the understanding, the first healing method always starts with your diet. The minimum times anybody eating 1 meal a day, that's great. If you're eating every other day, that is excellent. If you're eating every 3 days, then to me, you're right on time. Jesus said, according to the Bible, I'm using the name Jesus, even though the historical Jesus, his name was not Jesus, because there is no J in the Hebrew language. But we don't need to debate that. There's no reason for us to debate it. The bottom line is that when you learn to live on the word alone, when you can live on the word, that's when you have truly denied yourself. Our moral principle comes down to how we eat. Period. Our moral principle comes down to how we eat. That's it. How to eat to live. That's it. Your frequencies are key. You need to eat things that you can plant. Eat the seeds. If you got to go and kill a mammal to survive, just think over that. Just think over that. You're eating flesh. You want to eat flesh all your life? Coming to the understanding, the universal understanding of what you are. You are a universal being. Period. We don't have to come into these categories of people like to call race. What are you racing to? The universal perspective, once again, is that all you're going to see is life. What else needs to be defined? Whatever is existing, they will define themselves by their vibration alone. There's a lot of animals, so-called insects, and all these other names that we give them. Some of them have no vision, but they all got vibration. Everything has a frequency. And we should allow everyone, or all life forms, to come to us in their own way. Period. What I mean by that, whatever harmony they're in, they are welcome. Because our frequency, if you are in your true state, there's not a frequency that you won't be able to handle that comes your way. Because the keys are given. And when you get to your completed state, the universe is going to give you a zero. Why are you worried? Let them come to you in their own way. We have been given the gift of life. We have been given the harmony of life. We have struggles and we can have difficulty, which is ordained. But we have our harmony. We have our music. You know, some of us have that song, or we may hear a certain word, or somebody may say, hey, I love you. And the way they say that, you can feel that. And it brings you to life. Or somebody who has a good karma about themselves can just come and touch you and bring you to life and energize you more, encourage you more to continue your journey. But the math is on the board that I have up there. It's right there in front of you. It's nothing that you need to interpret. It's right there in front of you. Now, for those of you who have not done the lessons and you see 7 times 7 and I got the 4 under there, if you break down, you always break down the numbers, the result, into the single digit. So if you do 35 times 7, if you break that down to the single digit, it's going to equal 2. I just didn't put that up on the board, but it is in the lessons of the pattern of life. And if you did the homework that I left on that say, if you do that, you can understand this lesson better, then you won't have any problem with what you see on the board now. So once again, the videos are for you. You can pause it, you can look at it, you can study on your own. But like I said, I'm putting these numbers out here, but there is more in 7 that I'm talking about now. Even there's more that I can put on the board, but what's the point if I'm going to do it all? The teacher is to give you, I call myself the teacher because I'm giving you things that you can use to learn. I gave you the 3 patterns of life, and I put them in the code form. That's all the numbers that there is, and they're all the root numbers. I'm giving you a symbol or a mathematical hieroglyphic of what them numbers stand for, what them numbers mean, what is the frequency behind that note, behind that number. Take it in and you work it. Take it in and study your lessons as we were told ever since 1931. For those of you who have the understanding and know who the last messenger is, we are blessed because we can get this understanding and we can apply it. For those of you who have not, still, you can work this math if you follow the lessons, but you can also, seek and you will find. Period. You'd be surprised that when you start your frequency, who will come to you with understanding. Once again, what I'm showing you is all from the 1. All numbers have the 1 in it. 7 is nothing but 7 ones. Not to belittle it, but it's nothing but 7 1 because there is only 1. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. Thank you for listening.